Well, guess I'm back. In all seriousness, though, it is really good to be back. 5 months was way too long of a break to be away from this reviewing thing. And apparently I've been away so long that nobody's talking about Earthrise, but instead we're all talking about Kingdom. So I guess I could follow the trend and talk about Kingdom, because why not? And it definitely has been better than Earthrise. Like, Earthrise definitely wasn't that good of a line. Like, the engineering wasn't as solid, there were a lot of QC issues, there were a lot of compromises, and a lot of that just doesn't seem to be showing up in Kingdom. Well, until I get to Wave 3, that is, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But I mean, in the first wave alone, we got bone weaponizers. We got established Beast Wars characters. We got this guy who aesthetically fits in with the 86 movie line. I say aesthetically, and I'll cover that when I get to this guy. And last but not least, you got the last few figures of the 84-85 cast. And apparently these are all Earthrise holdovers. So does that mean they succumb to Earthrise laziness fever? Well, I guess we'll have to see. So, greetings Internet, I am Iron Thanos 21, and today I'll be taking a look at that of Kingdom Deluxe Class Warpath. And also, if you do enjoy this content, please consider subscribing. So, Kingdom Warpath here turns into that of a Sheridan, or at least a close approximation of it. See, more or less what the figure's trying to be is a representation of G1 Warpath's animation model, but put through a realism filter, giving him a lot of sculpted detail, which, speaking of which, let's talk about that. The sculpted detail in here is absolutely amazing. Like, pretty much every War for Cybertron figure always manages to have a healthy dose of sculpting. I don't know why, but I guess I really like sculpted detail in figures, and for some reason, I guess it really works well for the vehicle mode here. Like, it feels more or less like I'm holding a replica of a Sheridan as opposed to a toy of G1 Warpath, which, honestly, is actually pretty cool. I do kind of wish more figures were like this, but then again, budgets are a thing, so there's that. And you can kind of see some constraints of this guy's budget, which has a bit of the white paint bleeding through over here, which, and speaking of the white paint, he also gets to have white treads. Frankly, I would have loved to see gray treads, kind of like the G1 toy. Speaking of things that were on the G1 toy, let's talk about the bulbous turret. Yeah, it does look a bit unsightly at first, but I've owned this guy for a couple weeks, so by this point I've gotten used to it. The reason why he has it is because G1 Warpath's animation model had it, and the reason why G1 Warpath's animation model had it was because of the G1 toy, which had a bulbous turret. The G1 toy came from the Micro King line, like all the other minibots, not the Diaclone line, like literally every other Autobot released in the 84-85 lineup. So, yeah, the minibots were supposed to be like toy cars, or in Warpath's case, a toy tank. But when all these guys got moved into G1, the designer's like, oh, well, they're just normal vehicles now. Okay, moving on. So, yeah, it's a bit annoying, but once again, I've gotten used to it by now. And, yeah. Now, as for a technical issue, I guess, which means we have to talk about Warpath's accessories. Or, I guess, accessory. Warpath comes with this thing. A semi-optional parts-forming shield piece. The reason why I say semi-optional is because you may or may not need this depending on your copy of the figure. Like on my copy, I really don't need it to hold together the tank, but on some people's copies, you will absolutely need it. I mean, really, if you don't need it, adding it on really just kind of makes it like 1% more cohesive. Although to be fair, him having a completely closed up front does actually make it look a bit better, and actually more like you have a replica of the Sheridan as opposed to, once again, a toy of G1 Warpath with a hollowed out front. But yeah, they were also able to cover up the hollowness on this figure pretty good. Like, you do have a little bit of gappiness in the back, but it's it's pretty minor. It's pretty minor. Also, the front looks pretty good. But yeah. So, as for the articulation, once again, or actually, wait, I didn't even get to once again. Warpath's turret can rotate, so you can aim left, you can aim right, you can aim all the way behind him if that's something you want to do. And you can also aim the turret up. And, of course, thankfully, this is blast effect compatible. This was the only blast effect I could find at the moment, so it looks fine. I would have preferred something that looked a bit more like an explosion, but for now, yeah, this is fine. Overall, this is actually a pretty good little Warpath alternate mode. It works pretty well. It's only got a few issues, but yeah, overall it's pretty good. Oh yeah, also technically this is the only place where a faction badge shows up, right on the front of the alternate mode. This is once again because of G1 Warpath's toy. I actually do kind of wish that there was maybe one on the shoulder or something, but it would need to be, like, really minuscule. So, yeah, I don't really know how you get Engineer one in, but thing is, it's not like there's a whole lot about this guy's robot mode that really screams Decepticon. So, I guess he doesn't really need one. Still, though, I kind of would have liked to see one in the bot mode. But anyways, on to some size comparisons. So, here we have Kingdom Warpath with my previous review, Studio Series Blitzwing. Just giving you a general scale of size there. Although, as we all know, that never existed in Transformers, because... Have you seen Soundwave? My next review, Studio Series 86 Jazz. Hopefully. Unless I change my mind for some unknown reason. Literally, the only other G1 non-Optimus related thing in the first wave of Kingdom, Cyclonus, and also arguably the best figure in Kingdom, because, well, boy oh boy, I can't wait to review this guy. Probably one of the wackiest things to come out of Kingdom Paleotrex. I mean, seriously, it's a bone dinosaur that splits apart into weapons. How much more wacky can this be? I'm saving this guy for a special occasion. And last but not least, probably the only other Kingdom figure that I had, probably the only other good guy figure to come out of Kingdom Wave 1 that I had doubts about, Optimus Primal. And also another figure I might be reviewing soon. But probably not. I don't know. Hopefully the next review doesn't take another 5 months to come out. Okay, so as for the transformation, and no, I won't be speeding this up. Yeah, after having to do that for the last 4 reviews, and also doing a couple of test reviews that I never unfortunately finished, but hope to finish one of these days, I decided to stop doing that for the future, and just film the transformation normally, explaining all the steps and such. Hopefully it won't take too long. I think the main reason why I cut those out is because I wanted to save on time. But at the same time, I also didn't want my reviews to be the shortest thing ever. So, yeah. Anyways, transformation. So, the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and remove this if you have it attached. Or just remove it overall if you ended up with a bad copy. I do feel sorry for you if you ended up with a copy that unfortunately needs this piece. Anyways, you just want to move that off to the side. And you want to go ahead and split the legs. I would be cautious here. I have heard that some leg flaps have snapped off here, so I would definitely be careful. It actually took me a while to get these pieces to tab together in tank mode. Thankfully, just using a bit of brute force did the trick, but not too much to break it. Anyways, you want to separate the back treads from the front treads, move the legs out, move the arms out, and there you go. Again, split the treads, move the leg out, move the arm out, and there you go. Then you want to go ahead and bring the legs down, fold these panels down, and then basically you want to go ahead and fold the sides of the tank in, bring the foot down, wrap all of this around the leg, rotate it, and fold this flap in just kind of to hold everything together. You do have to flex a little bit of plastic, so this might break. I don't know. That might break in the future. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. I'm going to fold this in, bring this down, wrap this around the leg, rotate, and fold this panel in. It's a lot of panel folding, but you know, at least it's not MP44, so there's that. Next, you want to go ahead and fold in the entire back section of the tank to make a butt flap. It's not really as finicky as everyone says. You just kind of have to have, like, skinny-ish fingers, which I kind of have. And also a lot of patience, which is something I also kind of have. Open up the back of the turret, flip out the head, close that up. And you want to bring up this entire arm assembly and lock it into the turret. Yeah, and you also want to go ahead and collapse the barrel in. I choose to collapse it in about halfway, so, you know, that way it doesn't look, I don't know, pointless to say the least. So, yeah, that's just a personal preference of mine, so feel free to do whatever you want. For all I know, you could just keep the entire thing extended, so that way it still has full tank functionality. Well, aside from the rotation, but that's what the waist is for. But yeah. And then finally, untab the threads, fold them in half, bring the arms down, and do the exact same thing on the other side. And we are done. In bot mode, Warpath looks pretty good. I mean, once again, it's basically just G1 Warpath through a realism filter. How many more times do I need to say that? Although, I say that as if I've said it multiple times in the video and not just twice. Okay, before I start on the ultimate gush fest, let's just get some issues out of the way. I mean, aside from the parts forming. Actually, I guess we could just briefly cover it, so... Yeah, it forms an okay shield. I mean, it does just kind of draw attention to wherever it is, but it makes a neat shoulder pauldron. It doesn't really work for a weapon, but it makes for a neat little shoulder pauldron. And you can also port blast effects onto it, so, you know... Just put this on here for some natural getting hit effect, although... I'm probably not using the right blast effect here since this is more of a shooting out one. I guess it could work for some blue sparks flying off of him when he gets hit. But yeah, anywhere, I mean, I guess you could also technically use it as like a little buckler, but yeah, I don't know. That kind of just looks off for some reason, so I just choose to use it as a shoulder pauldron. It works much easier. But yeah, as for another issue, he is a small deluxe. Not like Cliffjumper small, where he's essentially just a Legends figure. Just more of a small deluxe. Kind of like the smaller Studio Series deluxes that you would see. And I would have a comparison with offer of Bumblebee if I could find him. I don't remember where I placed him last. He's somewhere. I'll find him eventually. Anyways, I decided, yeah. And that also seems to be a recurring trend with the other Kingdom figures, where they happen to just be really small deluxes. Once again, not Cliffjumper small, but small deluxes. They have enough engineering to make up for it, and also parts count. Well, at least for 3 out of the 4 deluxes. Paleotrex doesn't count because he just comes apart into bits. I really can't wait to review this guy, but I'm hoping to review him once I get the rest of his fossilizer brethren. And also maybe for a certain time of the year. But yes, getting him out of here... I guess those are really the only issues. Oh yeah, and I guess he has some arm kibble, but it's fine. It's just a little bit of kibble. It's not really that bad. But yes, we have a pretty spot-on looking Warpath here. Once again, I've said this twice, so I'll say it a third time. G1 Warpath through a realism filter. But, yeah, getting in close here. First up, we have the head, and yep, that is Warpath's head, with his head somehow looking like a ninja for some reason. I don't know why, which is the complete opposite of his personality, which... He is not stealthy. This is a man who turns into a tank, and has massive tank to clod hompers of death. So I don't know why he has a ninja mask. It's not like he needs to be stealthy. This is Warpath. He's not supposed to be stealthy. Or maybe it's just like a cool battle mask. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Yeah, I'm overthinking this. But yeah, the head does look pretty good. I'm honestly amazed that they were able to make the lack of color for the eyes, that was being the black, be able to pop. That is a weird feat, I will say that. Moving downwards, obviously, we have probably the most notable feature of Warpath, that of which being the giant tank barrel chest of explosions. Because, yes. Of course, once again, you can fit blast effects on here, because, of course, you can. You can also port one on the back if you want to just have him venting out explosions. Although, this one, although the one I seem to have picked doesn't really work the best, so there's that, unfortunately. Moving down to the arms, they are just really kind of basic. I mean, aside from having all the mechanical detail on them, and some 5mm ports, and some treads, which you can technically kind of convert into melee weapons. I guess these work as chainsaws, though I think an extra rotation here would have worked as well. Though that might have messed with the vehicle mode solidity, so I guess it's a fair trade-off for a gimmick that I'm pretty sure nobody asked for. Well, except for me. The lower legs are pretty basic. I mean, obviously, aside from the treads. Oh yeah, another thing I'd like to point out. This guy is stable as a rock. I mean, obviously you lightly tap him on his back because he barely has any toes. He stands up pretty dang well, if you ask me. Like, frankly, it was almost kind of useless to give him ankle pivots. Because he stands pretty fine on his own, so I don't really see why he would need them. It's a bit redundant, if you ask me. But, and in the back, it's fine. It does have some kibble on there, a little bit of, and a butt flap at the thing. Yeah, and as for his posability, you have a ball joint at the head, rotation of the arms move out, bicep rotation, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. Wrists do rotate, but the left wrist on my copy, and maybe other people's copies, I don't know, is really stiff, although the right wrist works perfectly fine in both directions, so I don't really see what the problem is. I think it might be QC. He has a very tight waist swivel, and I mean very. Legs kick forward, they can go back if you... Just gotta move this out of the way, I guess. They do move back. I think I just didn't rotate the waist back into position enough. Yeah. There we go. They can move out. Side swivel. Barely 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And some useless ankle pivots because, once again, he's rocking some massive pontoons for feet. I don't know why you need ankle pivots. They're just kind of redundant at this point. So, yeah, that's the articulation. And once again, you can pop the shield onto his shoulder, or if you wanted to, you could put some fossilizer weapons on him. That's a thing you can do. But once again, I won't show it off until I review Paleotrex and the rest of the fossilizers, so you'll just have to wait or go watch someone else's review. But yeah, so on to the size comparisons. Here we have Blitzwing. Here we have Jazz. Here we have Paleotrex. So the Clonus and Blitzwing fell over there. There we go. And last but not least, Primal. So yeah, on to the final verdict, I guess. Oh wait, there is one last thing I forgot to mention, and it has to do with these ankles. Once again, not the fact that the ankle pivots are redundant because he can basically stand on his own once you give him a light tap on the back. Actually, I think this might somehow be helping. Oh, never mind, I spoke too soon. But it's if you kind of move them out too far. See, they have these grill details in here, and getting them back in, they make this horrible clicking noise because of it, and I'm just really worried I'm going to break the thing. I've already broken one Kingdom figure this year. I don't need a second one to be broken, because that would really suck. Alright, back to your normally scheduled review. So overall, I think this is a very good figure. Yes, he has his issues. He has the bulbous turret in tank mode, he has the part forming, and he doesn't really pose all that well, but I still can't help it. I still can't help myself from loving this little guy so much. He's a really good figure. So, in that case, I will have to give him a 8 out of 10. He's pretty good. He does have some issues holding him back from being the perfect 10 out of 10. But, hey, guess the figure has a few flaws. Doesn't mean that it can't be a good figure. So anyways, yeah. With all that aside, this has been IronSandhouse21. And hopefully I'll see you guys here for the next review where I cover some 86 movie stuff. I'm probably not going to alternate between Kingdom and SS86 stuff. I have other plans, but yeah. So, I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.